never forget the rush of emotions that I felt the day I got the news. It was a mixture of different feelings, from excitement, fear, uncertainty, all at once. My name is Daniel Okwala, and I also go by Nonso. I am from Nigeria. I was born in Lagos, which is one of the largest cities in West Africa and has a population of more than 20 million people. If you've ever heard of a city that never sleeps, think of Lagos. It's so huge, the vibes are so amazing, it's such a great place to visit. And a lot of your favorite celebrities and Afrobeat artists are from Nigeria. Most of my childhood memories consist of me playing a lot of soccer and a lot of schooling. I had really strict parents who were very big into education, so school came first, and I hated every bit of it. When I was done school, I'd get home, get a little bit of a break, and then I'd have a private tutor there. I'm very big into fashion, music, photography, and content creation. I went to school for marketing and business management. I have a cat. I like to cook and I like to bake. I have been to 4 countries, and I like to play soccer. This is my Travelers Club story. My fondest memory before I moved was being at the airport with my family and just trying to take in the experience. I was trying to soak in the moment. I was excited, but at the same time, I was saying goodbye to the most important people and closest people I've had in my life. And until this day, the airport always signifies a new journey for me, but it also comes with mixed emotions. The plane ride felt like a lifetime because I had a few layovers, and when I finally got to Canada, I still had to take a flight to my final destination. I stopped over in Vancouver for a day, more like for a night, and then I had to fly again out. So it was a lot for me. And I slept most of the way, if I remember, because most of my flights, if not all, were all at night. Education was the main reason that I came to Canada. My parents wanted a better education, better experience, and a better life for me. I never liked school growing up, but I was smart and I was very creative. So when my parents told me that I was going to Canada, I was surprised. The school system is very different from back home, but the structure is similar. Adjusting to the school here was hard because the teaching style was different, and I arrived a few weeks into the semester, so everything was already in motion and already started before I got into it. I had to catch up on the materials and my studies, but on top of that, I had to navigate a new campus, get to know my professors, figure out my class schedules, and how to get to and from the school, and also make sure I had, food and the bare essentials that I needed. It took me a long time to find my groove at school, but it came along eventually after a lot of trial and error in reaching out to the right people when I had questions. My biggest culture shock was the food and the weather. I quickly developed an obsession for fast food because it was all new and different from what we had back home. My parents didn't let us have a lot of fast food growing up. So this is just me alone in a new country by myself. I was gonna try out everything, of course. So it was exciting for me to try the new and the diverse food that Canada had offered. You get exposed to different new food, and Canada being such a diverse country, you will experience and try different meals from different countries. Being alone is something that I had to get used to at the early stages, as it was initially difficult to make friends in a new environment as a newcomer. As I was still adjusting to a new country, new weather, new people, new culture, I spent most of my time after school alone, at the gym, in my room, and sometimes even in my car. I would go for drives and go for a walk, and I think that was the part where I got into photography, because I started taking pictures of buildings and landscape. I also missed my family and friends when I moved, because it was very difficult to talk to them when I arrived. Time played a huge difference because, moving from Nigeria, the time difference was 8 hours behind. So talking to family and friends there required planning. Every now and then we would go online and leave messages for each other. But even communication then became pricey, because you had to get a calling card or you had to pay more to talk to people back home. And then is when you find the disconnect between family and friends from back home, because you don't talk as much as you do at the beginning stage. The conversations die down. So that was tough at that point. Nobody gets past the winter cold. That September to December weather is tough, especially for newcomers. It's the first thing anyone talks about when you mention Canada is it's so cold, and they are very correct. I arrived in December, the coldest time of the year. I did not have enough time to prepare for the type of cold that I walked into, especially when I was just coming from a place that had very high temperature year round. Um, this was a huge shock mentally and physically, and it took me a long time to begin to adjust to it. I made sure to always have, my jacket and my winter essentials with me at all time, and I and also check the weather before I leave the house. Even though sometimes when you check the weather, it says it's gonna be nice, but I will still just have my winter jackets and apparels with me before I left the house. When I moved to Alberta, I felt a very different kind of community, and I developed some strong friendship with the people here. My community introduced me to soccer. Um, I've always been a fan of the sport, so when I became part of the soccer community in Lethbridge, it was a good point for me. I mean, soccer brought me new friends, a team, great learning. So I would say always find yourself a community in something you love. Sharing things you love with others is a great way to feel welcome and make new friends who you have things in common with. Lethbridge made me feel at home and more grounded because of the community of people I had built and that I was a part of. Having that made me feel less alone, and I felt like I had a family of friends. I spent my summers in Alberta. My summers were filled with activities and events with the people who had become my Canadian family. I had created a life that I love here. Moving to Canada has given me a lot of opportunities, experience, education, and support that I don't think I would have had back home. I've been able to pursue a career that I have a passion for and even start a small business. There were lots of programs and funding that were available to me that helped start all of this, and I was able to find a way to balance full-time career and my own business. I also started Travelers Club with some friends, which is a project that's aimed at providing helpful and useful information to aspiring newcomers to Canada. So these are a few of my experiences as a newcomer to Canada, and it includes the good and the challenging parts of my journey. For someone who came alone, it wasn't the easiest, but I'm also glad that I did because I was able to get some knowledge. I was able to learn more about myself and how to be independent and navigate, a lot of things by myself. I hope to tell and share more stories of fellow travelers because I believe that we all have a different story in our journeys. Some people came alone, some people came with family, some people came as students, some people came as refugees, some people came with work permits. Everyone has a different story, and I think their story will provide some insights and help to aspiring travelers and newcomers. One word I would leave everyone with is trust the process and enjoy the benefits. It's worth it at the end, and I hope you enjoyed this project, and we look forward to bringing you more stories from fellow travelers. Thank you.